Jensen has come a long way as a mid laner since he first came to North America.
He was this incredibly hyped solo queue player from 2013 and was also his first foray into pro play. His first professional game was against Bjergsen, and he got absolutely crushed.
We went, it was like, oh my god, is all this hype for nothing? Like, this guy actually terrible? Like, what happened? And so it took him a long time to really play with confidence. One of the things that did help was when Hai moved over to the jungle.
Alright guys, we are 7 weeks into the season, getting smack daddied, and this is where we turn it around.
Let's buddy these fools, that's...
He's now finally one of these mid laners that you have to respect.
He carried a lot of the momentum from last year into this split.
He went from deplorable to really damn good, and now he's gone from, hey, very good to who knows.
People expected him to come in and just be a beast. That's not how it works. But he has worked at it. He's gotten comfortable with his team, where he's really making a big argument for being one of the best, if not the best mid laners in all of the North American LCS. With Rush in the jungle, high calling shots, Jensen in mid lane, he's really set up for success.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our Sunday broadcast for Week 7 of the North American LCS. Fans in the Battle Arena are getting hyped for another day of league action, which is coming to you live from this arena here in Southern California. Earlier in the day, the Banana Man was getting the crowd ready for some Soraka play. I sure would love to see someone here as Team Impulse getting in a last-minute huddle, going over some strategies before their game against Energy. Here you see Conquan Moon making their way to the stage, acting like teammates, always good to see. Thank you for joining us. I'm James Dash Patterson, and with me on the analyst desk this afternoon is Aiden Zyrene Moon and Joshua Jat-Leesman. That opening video, though, talking about Jensen and Cloud9 really sets sights on game number 2 today and gets me plenty hyped.
Yeah, so much Jensen hype this year. He has been probably the most consistent performer on Cloud9, Sneaky also being very consistent, but the whole team has been able to step up, and it's going to be the winner gets second place.
Yeah, he's meeting expectations that were set for him when he first joined. He's actually surpassing them now, and that's what everybody's excited about, is he is showing up, and people don't know where his ceiling is yet.
We'll put a spotlight on that matchup in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at the league standings. Immortals is in first place with Cloud9 and Counterlogic Gaming tied for second. TSM is 1 win behind in fourth place, followed by Energy and Liquid to round out the teams in playoff position. Echo Fox is close behind in seventh, followed by teams Impulse and Dignitas, who are in eighth, while Renegades sit in last place. We'll see how the teams shake out after today, though, because we've got a whole new crop of games coming up. First is Team Impulse versus Energy Esports, and later in the day, Liquid will take on TSM. Then Renegades goes up against Team Dignitas, and Immortals bring the fight to Echo Fox to close out the day. But game 2 is a battle for second place and our match of the week. It's Cloud9 versus Counterlogic Gaming. Now, yesterday, Counterlogic Gaming stopped Immortals from tying the NALCS winning streak record and solidified the defending champs as credible contenders this split. Now, right there with them, though, are Cloud9 and TSM, and now all 4 of our top squads are looking ahead to the last 5 games of the regular season. Seeding for playoffs should be the primary concern for these teams as they compete for the chance at a first-round bye and placing opposite the Immortals in the bracket.
Exactly, and I want to talk about CLG first, the team that took down Immortals yesterday, because a lot of these members are stepping up. We had a lot of eyes on Huhi and also Stixay, but Darshan and Xmithy is stepping up so much. He's been funneled gold in the last few games, and he was known as that Cinder Hulk jungler, and now he's showing, I have another threat here on CLG that you have to pay attention to in picks and bans. Darshan and him, great combination, and also their picks and bans, their draft is refreshing. We're seeing a lot of flex picks, we're seeing a lot of really new and innovative things from them, and I think this is a great strategy for them because it throws the opponents off, and then they have the great macro game on top of that.
Yeah, he used to go Cinder Hulk, but now Runic Echoes is the OP jungler champ, so he just does whatever's good. But really, I want to talk a little bit about the team they beat, obviously Immortals, because it was the first time we saw them lose. And I do think they had become a little bit predictable in the pick and ban phase. 4 of the last 5 games they played Lux mid. 5 of their last 6 games, they had Janna or Soraka as support, and in 3 or 4 games, they had Quinn in the top lane. And these are just recent games going backwards. So, yeah, CLG could craft a strategy to beat them. But at the same time, it didn't matter that Immortals was being predictable, and that doesn't prove that they can't do anything else.
Right.
So they could also continue doing the same thing all the way until playoffs. They'll still probably get first. Or they can start showing some other dimensions to make sure they get some stage practice on it. I don't think the loss will be a big deal for them, and I expect them to bounce back today.
Yeah. It just makes you wonder how they'll react to the loss, where they'll shore up weaknesses that may have been exposed. Now let's take a look at Cloud9, though, who don't have to go up against Immortals, but they do have to play the team that just beat them in CLG.
Exactly. But that's the last team that they have to face in the top half of the standings. Their 4 remaining games after that are 4 of the teams that are in the bottom 4 or bottom 5.
Yeah.
So C9, want to talk about them because C9, going back, when they brought Jensen on, it was because they had made Worlds multiple times and they thought they had peaked internationally with High in the mid lane. They brought him in to up their ceiling. Jensen, he didn't deliver in the first year as much as people had hoped, but now Jensen has bloomed and he's that mid laner that people were looking for when he first joined the squad. Other members of C9 are stepping up as well. Rush, synergizing in the jungle, multiple champions, now multiple styles from this guy, and Balls is returning to the form that we knew him from originally back in Season 3.
Definitely getting excited about Cloud9 and how they're playing as a team. Now let's look at the last team in this top 4, who most would say probably sits a step below the rest. But TSM, Jat, let me have your thoughts.
Yeah, well, definitely by the record, they're 1 game out of the place right there. And of course I will talk about TSM. Thanks, guys. But no, it's been a really weird and disappointing year for TSM because they brought in all these superstars, but they have been just having so many issues. The coaching staff continues to change. We saw Parth doing the picks and bans yesterday. We saw the jokey hover of Quinn in the mid lane from Bjergsen. And eventually their pick and ban was good at the end of the day. And you mentioned the strength of schedule for Cloud9's, Irene, but if you take away the Immortals game, which is in the final week for Team Seoul Mid, they play Liquid, Impulse, Renegades, and Energy. And the fact that if they beat Liquid today, they will be tied for 3rd place, they actually don't have that hard of a record from here on out. So they've been a step below, but they haven't been heavily punished because all the games they kind of should have lost, they ended up winning a lot of the time. So their record is showing pretty strong, and they could easily make a run for top 2 if they get a little lucky.
And at the end of the day, if you talk about the technicalities of being a tier below, as you mentioned, either CLG or C9 have to lose today. So if TSM wins, they technically join them on that 3rd place tier. All right, well, CounterLogic Gaming brought their A game yesterday against Immortals, and you guys at home took note using hashtag LCS Big Plays. Our first tweet this morning comes from David Moore, who writes, Xmithy carried so hard with that Baron steal. Hashtag LCS Big Plays. Check it out.
Oh, it's Smithy, the time buyer of all time buyers. Can he do it? He's in there. It's the smite fight, 50-50. He steals it, and CounterLogic Gaming is very much still in it.
You guys can ult you. I got
Yeah, I mean, that was just, Reignover didn't even end up using his Spite, and the Lux ultimate also didn't do damage to Baron. So it looked like the damage burst from Immortals was a little bit late, and then Xmithy was just chilling around. And I think my favorite comment from that game was, this is how Trick2G's chat would look with 300,000 viewers. That was Twitch chat the entire game.
Like, I love how
I
love how Udyr plays when he's actually got items and it's that late game, because he's standing with the team as if he's part of the team that's doing Baron, because they just ignore him. It's like it's useless to focus this guy.
365 armor at that stage of the game.
What are we going to do to him?
They want to kill the Baron.
And continually swapping into turtle stands.
And the other thing I really liked about that game from Xmithy was it wasn't just that Baron steal that he carried with. The first 3 kills he was a part of, getting Darshan fed in the bot lane, that was how that game just got blown out of proportion in their favor from the get-go.
Right. The Baron steal is a highlight and an epic moment, but really his play from beginning to end is what helped the team secure that win. Our second LCS big play came just moments later with a tweet coming from Severage TM. Damn, Darshan, back at it again with the Nexus. Hashtag Mortals. Here's your LCS big play.
There's Darshan flying in. Darshan TP'd, but he wasn't actually able to get Baron. He's onto the Nexus. Does it even matter that Smithy just came up that big? Yes, it does. What a barn burner.
Darshan got it. Run in the base, run in the base, run in the base. Everyone go. Go. I'm gonna go. We're coming. Get the base, get the base.
Can I just say that I hate that I read that? I hate that I had to do that, but I'm so glad we got to see that play again.
That's the best part of sending in your tweet. Is you make us say something.
You make
not you make us say something. You make me say something.
True.
I also have to read those impossible Twitter handles. Luckily, today's were good. I had a handle on today's.
Production's not going to find the.
How many next can Zion Spartan backdoor or Darshan backdoor by the end of his career? Because that seems to be the only way that
he's in his comfort zone when he's backdooring the Nexus at that point. And you see it in the team too. They're very comfortable playing that playstyle the entire game, just playing that 4-1, playing that 4-1, forcing Immortals to make decisions around the Baron as opposed to making some other big play as a team.
And that goes back to Zion Spartan way back in the day. Remember Dignitas, where it's just like, when is this guy going to learn how to group up with his team? And then he went to CLG, and he started to learn to group up, and people were like, oh my god, now he's got multiple elements, and now it's like, no, go back to what you were doing. It was really good, and now they're winning games.
Well, you don't need to group if you're playing Jax. That was the story. That was the lesson.
Or Naxxes,
yeah, each day of games, though, brings us closer to the final showdown between the top teams this split. April 17th and 18th, we're headed to Las Vegas as the Mandalay Bay Events Center plays host to the 2016 NALCS Spring Championship Finals. Tickets are on sale now and available at lolesports.com, so go grab them up. Now, of course, it's time to send it over to the caster desk to get us into the game.